Purchase orders will be created in SME frequently to purchase material. You have two options for how the purchase orders in SME will sync to QuickBooks. In the Setup module, Company, select the Order section. On the right, you will find the default export options for purchase orders. The two options are Default Export on POs and Default Export Bills on POs. If you check Default Export on POs, then SME will put a PO in QuickBooks. If you select Default Export Bills on POs, then SME will put a bill for the vendor for the purchase order. Let's try both options so you can see how it works. We'll start with SME set to put a PO in QuickBooks for POs and SME. We are in the SME Inventory module, Purchase Orders. We have a purchase order for material. Notice the Export PO to QuickBooks box is checked. This is setting this PO up in the queue to go over to QuickBooks on the next sync. After the sync, we will see the PO in QuickBooks. Here in QuickBooks, we see the purchase order for the vendor. Back in SME, notice the Export PO to QuickBooks flag is unchecked. It is unchecked because it already went over to QuickBooks. If you make a change to the PO in SME, such as adding more material to the PO, you will want to re-export the purchase order to QuickBooks. I'll add another item to this PO. To set up the PO to export to QuickBooks again, check the Export PO to QuickBooks box. We'll let SME and QuickBooks sync again. Now in QuickBooks, notice another PO is created. The additional material added to the PO in SME is on this PO in QuickBooks. Notice the PO number has a -1 after the number. We will want to delete the original PO and keep the updated one. If the PO is edited in QuickBooks, the PO in SME is not updated. The other option is for SME to enter a bill in QuickBooks for the vendor for the cost of the material received on the PO. For example, here's another purchase order in SME. We'll receive the material on the PO, and the PO closes. On the next sync, SME will put a bill in QuickBooks for the cost of the material on the purchase order. Here in the Vendor Center, I'll locate the vendor, and here is the bill that was entered. If you have a purchase order in SME that has more than one item on it, you may not receive all the stock at once. If that is the case, SME will put a bill in QuickBooks for each material you receive. For example, the first shipment will receive the first 2 items on this PO. I'll go ahead and receive the items in SME. Upon the next sync with QuickBooks, we'll see the bill for the vendor in QuickBooks. Notice the 2 items we received on this bill. Now back in SME, we'll receive the rest of the material on the PO. Upon the next sync with QuickBooks, another bill will be created for the vendor for the cost of the additional items we received. Notice the -1 after the PO number. You should decide how you want POs to sync with QuickBooks. In the Setup module, Company, Order, choose either Default Export POs or Default Export Bills for POs. Once you make your choice, open SQLink, click File, Setup, click Edit at the bottom, and locate the Purchase Order Options section. Choose the option that matches your choice in SME. Either export purchase orders only or export bills only.